Good morning. My name is Brendan McGinty, and I lead the industry program at NCSA. We're going to change just a little bit to talk about the impact that HPC has on business and on industry, and we do it on a global scale. My background is primarily in corporate consulting. It was 30 years ago. I was at Savannah River site doing a lot of online learning using big interactive video disc platters to deliver training, but programming a little bit of AI back then, pretty rudimentary in reactor operations. So that was a long time ago. And by the way, thank you for putting on the conference, because it's given Brett and I a chance to catch up. We work in the same building. And that's always just such a great thing. Brett does a great presentation. You know, one thing that I've noticed from being in this field now for 2.5 years, all of you know Merle Giles here in the middle, and I am the people would joke when I first came on that you're the new Merle, right? I like to change it a little bit to I'm the new and improved Merle, but that just didn't always go over well with Merle, who I've known for many, many years. Before Merle, our original director back in 85, 86 was a gentleman by the name of John Stevenson. I'm still in touch with John, and when I started, he brought me a pile of these things. I didn't know what they were, and they turned out to be DVDs, right? They were so old that they were DVDs, and they were a collection of the story of early HPC and industry. So what I did was I took those and compiled a little something that I thought some of you, especially with as much gray hair as I have, might find interesting. It's 3 minutes. I'd like to start with that because it paints a picture about a couple of things. When you see the video, it's just a YouTube video. Notice the dates on there. Notice the technology in the background. I think you'll get a kick out of that. And then think about how long this has been happening, because our program's been in place for over 30 years now. And it just shows that what we're talking about now is just the next iteration of advanced computing impacting industry. So I'd like to launch that now, if you don't mind, and I think we're hopefully ready to go with that. Where's the video? Oh, it is. Thank you. And here we go. Excuse the narrator.
NCSA recognizes the role of research in industrial advancements and innovation over the past 3 decades. We take a brief look back at our history of collaboration with industry and providing HPC solutions. 3-time Grand Challenge Award winner Caterpillar pioneered major breakthroughs using NCSA's virtual reality immersive computer engineering simulation, data mining, and knowledge management technologies. Caterpillar used these technologies to design earth-moving equipment, creating more efficient and cost-effective design concepts, while working with NCSA to redefine the company's priorities for product development. Longtime industry partner Boeing redefined aircraft safety inspection procedures by working with NCSA to improve Boeing's existing Taskmaster assembly process. This collaboration resulted in enhanced safety procedures and provided Boeing with a highly competitive advantage. Global pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly and Company partnered with NCSA using supercomputers to study drug design in 3 dimensions. Scientists were able to explore how highly inflammatory molecules interact inside the human body, leading to new treatment for asthma. FMC Corporation transformed the agriculture industry with NCSA by discovering new herbicides and insecticides. FMC also used virtual prototypes to fine-tune design concepts for machinery and manufacturing processes, resulting in a 450% cost reduction of modeling and simulations annually. Massively parallel processing systems powered by supercomputers helped Grand Challenge Award winner Motorola design a new generation of cellular systems. NCSA helped Motorola simulate and model enhancements, resulting in a new rescue design channel concept that improved customer dropped call service and was officially accepted as an industry standard. Visualizations and data analysis help J.P. Morgan leverage high-performance computing from NCSA to manage risks for its clients worldwide. These visualizations illustrated what actions were needed in risk management. Working with NCSA's data management team, Allstate Insurance redesigned their claim handling processes and achieved competitive breakthroughs within their tactical intelligence network and rate-making procedures. Allstate was able to accomplish this by using NCSA's knowledge discovery and data mining techniques. No matter the technological challenge, NCSA's industry domain expertise in cyber infrastructure can be leveraged to accomplish the grandest of breakthroughs. With 30 years of success behind us, we stand ready to help industry innovate and succeed for decades to come.
Excuse the salesy part toward the end. But isn't that great? I mean, it's just, this has been going on for a long, long time. And the impact that it has on industry is what we're going to focus on today. I do not have the technical chops that so many of you do, but I am an old programmer who gets it and understands how to sell it, right? So I'd like to get into the presentation itself. As far as our program, just a little bit of a background. And it is this combination of technical skills across domains, and I'll get into what those domains are. HPC resources, and Brett went over very effectively one of those resources, Blue Waters, what an accomplished system over all of those years. So proud of that. And we focus on industrial need by having a lot of administration, project management, program management to support and hear what industry needs are. Just went over our 30-year plus history, but I think what's important is the culture. It is, industry pace is a little bit different. It's quicker hits. It's quicker deadlines. They mean something to companies who have to report quarterly on their results. So those deadlines can create pressure. So having a system in place to support that on a regular basis at the highest level is very important. And being on time and delivering under budget, obviously very important to companies. Our teams, you can read them. I think what's interesting here is when we break this down a little bit, we have teams dedicated to each of these areas. I think what's unique is from the video you saw that it's across domains. Right, we covered, when I first started in HPC, I thought, well, the history is really about modeling and simulation, right, for manufacturing. But you saw the number of different domains and the type of work that was done. And I think that impact now is more relevant than ever. Just in genomics, you talk about proteomics, you talk about whole genome sequencing, genome-wide association study, genome assembly. In big data analysis, big being relative, AI, machine learning, deep learning, GIS. When I started 2.5 years ago, we weren't talking about GPUs really. We weren't talking about AI as a solution set. And because of the data deluge, our 30-year-old program in the last 2.5 years in revenue has grown 400%. Reason? Because the need is out there and companies are starting to figure it out. What that does is it creates opportunities to leverage that funding source in new ways in centers like ours that allow us to do even more and align the academic research that we're doing with the industrial need while creating scholarship opportunities for students. It's a beautiful combination. At Illinois, we're standing up a new Center for Digital Agriculture. They added that to my plate recently as executive director of that because of the alignment with the academic research that's happening. We have PIs putting together the curriculum, master's curriculum for that, and I'm thankful for that. But the student alignment and the applied need and to have a good business around that, that's what we're doing. We're also standing up, of course, a Center for Artificial Intelligence. How do we herd and bring together all those resources at the university to provide solutions for our industrial partners and their needs? And then within our team, 30 years of team, Merle built a lot of it, and we're very appreciative of the depth of domain expertise that we have here that's quite unique, dedicated to industry, PhDs, master's level, 100% dedicated to industrial solution. That's part of what makes our program unique, and we do it in this very nice facility that houses not only Blue Waters, which is it takes up a lot of footprint in our facility, but we have a large synoptic survey telescope project, large NSF project, and it's housed in there, as well as a family of industrial clusters. We have a system that details and provides service just to industry called iForge, which I will go into in just a moment. I'm going to drill down to one of our groups. I mentioned modeling and sim, bioinformatics, but our data analytics group is touching it all right now. And if you look at, for me, I think one of the important things to note on this slide are, again, the number of types of businesses and domains that the data analytics team works on. All right, we think of AI now, a confluence of that with traditional HPC solutions, and that's happening, and I'll talk about that in a second. But look at the different types of applications that we have just in the data analytics team. They do this on our industrial cluster. We keep this evergreen. We're working with Dell EMC, a great partner for a long time. We're running Skylake and V100s, the nice mix, because we're a custom house. We operate within an institution of higher education, essentially as a corporate consulting house. And I'll talk about that as far as what I consider to be best practices in interacting with companies a little bit later. Our system is built specifically for those workloads that industry bring us. And then we can leverage a resource, because we do have an allocation on a large system like Blue Waters. And we're fine with the fact that many of our large companies, I didn't put up a splash slide of all of our, but trust me, we've got a lot of big companies that we work with, and a lot of them work with AWS and Azure and Google Cloud and all of that's fine, because we are this independent source who will benchmark, who will do work in a very independent way, not-for-profit way, in the best interest of the company. And whatever the right solution is, that's what we are going to recommend. What's happening with companies, and you've seen this before, right? Going from the computational science to big data, in my opinion, the companies are just a little bit behind. We've worked with, this room has worked with a lot of companies, but they have been doing it for quite a while. Think about the number of companies that we're working with. Not that many when you think about all of the possibilities. So what some of these, especially large, established, older companies are doing is trying to make the move. I hear all the time, we're collecting a tremendous amount of data. What do we do with it? So that's where the consulting part of what all those options are. We call them partnerships for a reason. We don't want to be the only know-it-all because we don't understand their business. And when you work in a custom manner, we have to understand different types of businesses all the time. We know that more is better when it comes to deep learning applications. And now we're seeing more. I heard earlier, Steve, I think you were talking about the growth really hasn't been significant, and I agree. There's opportunity there to do more, because the result that we see when we do it well is significant. I think what's interesting about this slide is there's a direct correlation between this and if you think about how more companies are getting involved, how more companies are trying to figure out what to do with their data, how more companies are figuring out what to do with their data for their business benefit. Because what our sweet spot is finding things that are changing our world for the better and helping these companies to be profitable in doing so, because if they're doing a good job of it, we want more of it. And it was mentioned earlier that AI is the opportunity for people to do more targeted work in these areas and not so much heavy lifting, if you will. So we've also done a little bit of benchmarking We do a lot of work in all processor families depending on the workload. What's important about this is on the left, we know that machine learning code is going to benefit from GPUs. We've done the benchmarking on it, multiple nodes, we do better. But on the right is some of that old code, discrete element, it is, and even in these cases, this is where that convergence, that confluence happens, where AI is benefiting more traditional HPC workloads. How does that affect business? This is one example, a large agriculture partner of ours. And one thing to note is when we say who the company was, it's because they've made it public. But our team always jokes about how the fact that our middle names are all spelled NDA, it's really important to companies we work with, competitors all the time. And we need them to understand that we take security very, very seriously. In this particular case, what we have is statistical power analysis and being able to go to make code more efficient, optimize it, and take a workload that was running in 175 days to the partner on the partner's premise down to 3.5 hours on iForge. Here's what gets me excited is, what does that mean? Well, to them it meant $30 million of return on investment annually. Now we work in these centers where our labor rate, I'm an old corporate consultant, hired teams to do work for companies, and our rates are ridiculously reasonable, right? It's almost a crime that these companies get to leverage, but it aligns with our academic research and our university mission to be able to provide these services to the benefit of the company. So in this particular case, $30 million of ROI. Another case, and this is one where we can't say who the partner is, this work was completed in the last couple of weeks. But what's interesting here is by leveraging machine learning, we reduced a mean absolute errors in their case from 0.73 to 0.43. Okay, that's great. This was a proof of concept for this partner. What does that mean? Well, the goal of the project was to help them to realize 0.05 reduction. We got 0.3. This is what they've reported recently. We know that we've got more than that, but even then, $6 million per 10% in ROI annually means something in speed to result and then savings for the company. Now, more broadly, when you talk about turbulence modeling, it applies to so many of our partners. And AI's ability to accelerate, really what this means is that in a final analysis, you can get high fidelity turbulence results with a fraction of the compute because of the machine learning. But there's benefit to these partners to have that, just like there is in topological optimization. HPC plays an important role because it's going to generate all of this data that, for machine learning that has this wide application that in the end can be run locally. It's great benefit that doesn't always require the end result being a supercomputer to run it. And then you talk about, and Brett mentioned this earlier, the run on blue waters. This is old news now. This is 2 years old, but it hit very broadly. And what this meant as far as ROI, you see that bottom? Over $1 billion ROI to have that result. That came from them. We did not calculate that for them. They told us that that was the result. You go out to 716,000 threads, and you can go from 3.5 months on-prem in Houston to running all of Blue Waters in 10 minutes. What a result. We have the opportunity. We can't take for granted what this means to companies. This is significant. So, what does all this mean? If I'm going to drill down, this is just coming from me and my vast 2.5 years of experience of doing this. But as a corporate consultant, I feel like I have an idea of how companies think across sector. I've walked in as a performance improvement specialist across the board. Tech, training, process, right? For us and the people with which we work, I could not believe how talented the team was and dedicated it was to results. I've made clearly the people first. They're my closer because they legitimize the fact that I'm not lying when I talk about the solution set. And the compute second. That's not to minimize the compute. You know why? Because good consulting, the byproduct of great consulting is that our compute use is up too. Part of that 400% growth is this combination of consulting and compute. But it's the consulting that's leading to more compute. Very important. Easier said than done. This seems like common sense. In my university environment, I don't know about in environments that you are, we're so anxious to get all of how cool we are out that we're not listening to what the need is that the companies have. How important is that? Because then we can target solutions. We sound a lot more intelligent when we understand what they're wanting. And so to actually be consultative about this is important, and for us to customize those solutions. You know why? Because that list of companies, oil and gas operates differently than fintech, which operates differently than healthcare, right? We have to recognize that no two companies are alike. And nobody has time. How many of you have enough time to do everything you want to do? All right, so neither do companies. In fact, I call them scanners. All right, our web presence, all of that, it has to be in scan mode because they don't have the time. We have elevator pitch type of time to whet their appetite to get them interested in what we're doing. And the resources, I've had my own companies, I've worked in big companies, I never have had the quality of solution set available to sell, to essentially sell, that I have now. And there is so much need for collaboration. We have more work than we know what to do with. We need the collaboration to cover domain expertise, to cover compute when we don't have it, because there's so much to go around. There really is. And then the last point here is, one thing I've always loved about having teammates who feel this is being fearless. 2.5 years ago, I wasn't talking about certain things that I sell now for a reason, because this is changing so quickly and we all know it. We're used to it though. I've been in tech my whole life, not this, but it changes too, and we just roll with it, right? Companies are almost to the level of being freaked out by the amount of change that happens, so they lean on us to be consultative with them, to tell them what's possible with all their data using AI. Why need AI? I don't know why. I know I need it. I saw some commercial about it. Seriously, get companies saying this. So moving forward like that, extremely important. So I'm going to wrap there. I am going to say, if you are interested, we work with international centers who are trying to create industrial outreach opportunities because of the funding model that gets added to other things that they're doing. If you ever want to talk about that, my contact info is here. I'm on LinkedIn. It's easy to find me. Would love to talk with you, and I just appreciate the time so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan. Couple of questions right at the back.
So when you, as you said, there's always too much to do. So when you go into an engagement, what are your screening criteria? How do you decide that a partnership could work or not work? And actually, I'd be more interested on when you say no.
No is typically if they're not ready for us. We try to be at the edge level, leveraging HPC resources with a team of primarily PhDs doing a level of work that's different than, I'll give you an example, the state of Illinois, which is an extremely well-run organization. They want to be the first smart state. Seems like an oxymoron, that they want to be the first smart state. They come to us with huge vision, which is great. That's exactly what we want. But their data's not ready. It'll be ready. They're in stage 1 and 2. We're at about stage 7. When they are able to get their data in such shape that we can do something with it, that's when we need help. That's when we're happy to say no, but. So one of my goals is to be able to say no, but there's this group that you can work with. That's really how we weed it out. And some of it happens through our membership program that just openly, our engagement model is one where companies pay $50,000 a year with a 3-year commitment to join our program. So they have to be serious about leveraging that, spending that up front. The labor's inexpensive, but there is a membership that weeds a little bit so that we're working with a particular type of engaged partner.
Thank you for a great presentation. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
I actually have 2 questions. What's the split between your industrial users on the iForge system versus Blue Waters? Is it the majority on iForge, or is it 50-50?
About 95-5 maybe. We have a 5% allocation on Blue Waters. We typically use it, I would say, once a year-ish for large jobs. We do have some continuum of some smaller partners that use it for some smaller runs, but I would say 95-5-ish.
On iForge?
Is on iForge. Yes.
And then my second question was, your first slide said that you had the largest industrial HPC program in the world, and I was wondering how you measure that.
Susie, frankly, I get it from Said Korich. A lot of you know Said. Dr. Korich has been a longtime member of our program. He travels extensively and works with other supercomputing centers and labs around the world, and has been in. So, for example, we have an event happening in a couple of weeks, the International Industrial Supercomputing Workshop. It brings these industrial leaders together. It's going to be in Stuttgart. Susie and I will both be there. And it's a great chance to compare all of the different domains in which we're working. I think a couple of things. Our team, we have 50 plus people touching industry at this point, and that doesn't include faculty affiliates doing supply chain, digital advertising, nano manufacturing. So we bring a lot of resource to bear, and then just the volume of work. So we're crossing domains, and we have a pretty good feel from talking with other folks.
I think the state of Illinois declared that. And now what we should do is the state of Tennessee should make a counterclaim.
We're bold about stating it, so thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks again.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks.